Today on M3, I'm going to try my hand at learning a new skill, Fiber Magick. And I've got everything I need to get started here with me. Yarn, a crochet needle, and of course, instruction. So I'll just find a simple pattern in the beginning of the book. This one should work. So single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, double crochet. You know, there's a bit of musicality to that, isn't there? Single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, double crochet. I think I could definitely get myself into a rhythm there.
Crochet, crochet, crochet. Crochet, crochet, crochet. Crochet, crochet, crochet. Crochet, crochet, crochet. I take the needle in my hand, read the pattern, but I can't seem to understand. Stitches flying, knots are tying, brain unwinding, double, double, toil and trouble, fire burning, cauldron bubble, crochet, crochet, crochet. Crochet, crochet, crochet. Crochet, crochet, crochet. Crochet, 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 crochet.
Operator, connect me to Opal Luna. Welcome to Music, Myth, and Magic. I'm Eric Arcadian, and today I'm speaking to Opal Luna. Opal is the author of Fiber Magick, and she's also an officer of the Grove, a pagan congregation in South Florida. Opal, thanks so much for taking the time to be with me on the show today.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. It's my pleasure.
Well, I do have one burning question to start off with, and that is, what came first for you? Was it the love of crochet or was it the love of magic?
Well, I would have to say that crochet came first since my granny taught me when I was 8 years old. So, but you know, it actually served as a form of magic for me. I grew up in a very hostile household. And escaping to my granny's room to crochet was magical for me. It gave me a sense of accomplishment and a sense of peace that I didn't have normally. So I always associated crocheting with that sense of magic. So as I got older and I started studying magic and I started gravitating naturally to candle dressing and kitchen witchery and the more crafty things, I realized that I was doing the same thing when I went into my craft room and I picked out all the materials to make anything, whether it was for a magical purpose or not. My energy got into that thing I was making. So I started doing it intentionally through the layers of correspondences, colors, textures, fibers. It never ends. So that's the long answer.
No, that's perfect. What's a bit of your background when you started to get like officially into magic?
Well, I was introduced to the pagan community through the Tequesta drum circles and then through the CUPS program at the UU Fort Lauderdale. And so I spent 10 years there learning the basics and then taking a lead in rituals and things like that. I developed my hurricane protection ritual there, you know. And then when it was time for me to move on and we created the Grove, um, you know, I've just continued to grow eclectically. But the thing that the modality that I was most interested in was strega because of my Italian roots. I I was actually nothing until one day I was making some soup and I remembered how my father used to always say that his mother could take a can of beans and whatever was in the kitchen and create this beautiful soup. So I started singing and stirring soup, and I suddenly realized I suddenly thought to myself, I wonder if there's an Italian version of witchcraft. Duh. And so I ran to look it up, and I found Raven Grimassi and all that, you know. So I love that so much. But I really I I feel that I've created my own practice of fiber magic all to itself, you know. But the principles of fiber magic can embellish any other form, any other practice, and it does. It does even naturally because every culture and religion and magical practice has a form of crafting.
Well, I definitely want to hear more about Fiber Magick, and I definitely want to hear more about the Grove. But something you just mentioned kind of piqued my interest a little bit. Could you tell me about the hurricane protection ritual and what's involved in that?
Yes, we just recently performed the ninth annual hurricane protection ritual. The Grove is going to keep that up. Um, we used to do it the first week of June, but we are actually doing it in May because of the climate changes that are happening. We are seeing a lot more heat, bigger storms earlier in the year. So we did it the last week of May this year, and next year we've got it planned for the full moon in May. And it is a ritual of protection, not um, not hurricane prevention because we can't do that. Nature's too big for that. And we need the crone hurricane to spin widdershins and move all that air around and move that water around and move all that nature around for us. But we just ask that our windows hold and shoo shoo out, over the ocean where she's a lot more comfortable, and to protect our homes during hurricane season. Yeah, we perform it. There are the rituals are on our YouTube channel. We have Abelina's Grove on YouTube where we record a lot of our presentations and rituals. You can find this year's hurricane protection ritual there. It's a little different every year, but it's all to call for protection for our whole area. And we have people that are from all of South Florida that recognize the hurricane protection ritual every year. We invite anybody to join us.
Well, thank you for protecting our state because we can really use it every year. I know
it's kind of working. They're going other places.
I always get a little nervous this time of year.
Yeah, we create a hurricane protection candle. Now, the how to do that is on Abelina's Grove YouTube and also on the Fiber Magick YouTube channel. You can find a video. We create a candle, and when we get a hurricane scare, the Grove will all grab their candles and we'll light them together, and we'll do a shoo shoo spell to keep us safe. So we're vigilant for all of hurricane season.
That's a lovely ritual. I'm glad you guys are out there doing that and keeping us safe. I will say this again later, but for anybody who is watching or listening, every link that you talk about, I will post in the video description. So you won't have to go around hunting for it. You can just click below. All right. Without further ado, what is Fiber Magick?
Fiber Magick is a spiritual path for the crafter. It is the idea that everything that we use in crafting has a natural correspondence, and that you can collect those things and utilize those things to actually make tangible expressions of your intentions. I found an article yesterday that you and I have a shared interest in something, and I'll show you an example of Fiber Magick that you might be interested in, and that is the Platonic solids. So we've got fire, we've got earth, we've got air, we've got water, and of course we have spirit. And another thing you can do with Fiber Magick is then make these, you're talking about having something tangible to see, and I really appreciated it that you had them all laid out, like opened up. So my next project in this area will be to crochet the pieces and but sew them together so that they're laid out so that you can actually see how they come together, and like a puzzle to show those. I may do that at FPG. I did Platonic solids at the last FPG. I did a workshop where I taught how to make the triangle, the square, and the pentagon, and then you could make your own, D&D dice if you want to.
Yeah.
So so Fiber Magick really, it can be used in many ways. It can be used to actually do spell work by creating those layers of intention to make something, or it can be used to make a tool that you would use in learning. When I was studying the Kabbalah with Mama Gina, I made 10 little turtles, and I put them out in the shape of the tree of life, and I laid out the tarot cards on the paths, and slow and steady, these little turtles could go from one Sephiroth to the next and pass those cards and deal with them, and then the adjacent turtle would come up and take and go off to the next space. So it's something that you can see, something that you can feel, something that you can actually work with. That's the whole essence of Fiber Magick, the neat thing about it.
Well, that is like way beyond anything I would have ever imagined to do with it. That is really cool. And I think I have a bunch of basic questions about stuff that you've probably answered like 1,000 times. So when we're in the realm of fiber and string and yarn and all this different stuff that you can make from that, what's the difference between some of these terms like crochet, knotwork, weaving, macrame, or otherwise?
Mm-hmm. Well, crochet is the art of creating fabric with yarn and hook, right? Knitting is the one that you use the 2 needles with, right? Now, I have given each of the basic crochet stitches an element. I've assigned them an element so that you can add those elements to what you're making. The foundation stitch, it's kind of like giving each of the Platonic solids an element. This chain stitch, that's the foundation of any work, I've given the element of earth. And then right on top of that, you do the single crochet. It's the shortest stitch, and I call that water. The great thing about that is that you can add water, the element of water, to something that you're making without it being blue. The same thing with fire is the half double crochet, because it kind of dances like fire when you do it. And then the tall one, the double crochet, that's air. And there's a triple crochet that's not used very often in regular work. You yarn over twice and put it in, and you yarn over and come through 3 times. So I figure that's like the triple goddess or spirit. That's mostly used in lace work and fancy doilies and stuff. So in this way, you can add the elements to the things that you're making and give it that energy and combine the two, like using red yarn with the stitch that corresponds to water is a really powerful in a protection talisman or amulet, because you've heated up that water, you've got steam, you've got power.
You do that so smoothly. I can see even through the video. I can tell you're right in the zone when you're doing that. Do you feel that crochet is a meditative work for you?
Absolutely, absolutely meditative, and also an active release, an active building of power. I mean, I can use it in any way, because I have put all my energy into these stitches, but the energy can be released. There's a chapter in my book, Advanced Fiber Magic, Crocheted Sigils. And at first, the editors were not sold on the idea that you could crochet a sigil, But what's the difference between writing something on a piece of paper and burning the piece of paper, or doing something like this and then taking a deep breath and releasing it? Pop, that energy goes out. You might have released your stress, or you might have released healing to a person, place, or thing. It's all up to you. It's all what you put in the stitches. Now, that is the basic teaching of knot magic, right? So when you're tying knots, you're just not using the hook. You don't have to use the hook to tie knots. So you're doing the same thing. And macrame is just like the ultimate knot magic, because those are just fancy, different kinds of knots, Celtic knots. And that's where I'm going for my next book, because it's going to be called Fiber Magick in the Garden. That's the working title, at least. We'll see what the publisher says. But I'm using macrame cord to crochet, to macrame, and to do something that I'm calling macrochet, which is a combination of both, in a sturdier material so that it can be outside in the garden. So we'll have hanging planters that actually imbue your plants with healing energy. We'll have garden flags that actually ward against insects or what have you. I'm still thinking of stuff. I was writing it before I was working on it before we got here too. I was going through the steps of magic. Like, it's the same thing. In order to start crafting, you want to ground and center. You don't need my crazy in your healing poppet. I need to get rid of that or relax and before I start making a healing poppet for you, right? And then you want to visualize your purpose, the purpose of this thing you're making. And you want to treat it like it's a ritual. Create sacred space, cast a circle, bless the thing when you're done. Make it a true magical experience from start to finish. And then, no matter what you make, when you give it to somebody, they're going to wrap themselves in that shawl, and it's going to be a healing tool, a blessing.
Well, I love that you have assigned the elements to certain stitches. And in the beginning of your book, I think you have also assigned a correspondence to the 4 main magical tools. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, this is my wand. you know. I wave my wand and mutter under my breath, and boom, a blanket. It's magical. I know your wife crochets. I know you've
Yeah.
seen that, where
Mm-hmm.
you've looked at her and she just started, and then you blink your eyes and you look back and you're like, whoa, where did that come from? You know, it does look like magic to the uninitiated. But um, the your scissors is there your sword that you cut the cords with. You know, that big darning needle that you put just so to put those pieces together just right. That's your athame. And of course, your chalice is the cup, either the cup of tea or the cup of wine, depending on the time of day, that you want your insides to be just as to correspond to the outsides of what you're doing, you know. So it's great. We can I in Fiber Magic in the Garden, I've also got the either a really good pair of kitchen shears or a clipper that can be your boline, because you're going to need that to not only cut the macrame cords of the things that you're working on, but to also harvest the herbs that you're going to grow to then put in your poppets. So your intention is going to be in there from the ground up, quite literally.
I love all those different correspondences. I think it must feel very personal to you as well, and that must just really empower the magical work that you do. Um, Actually, speaking of magical work, do you notice that there is a difference when you work with synthetic fibers versus natural fibers in your creations?
Yes. You definitely have more layers of correspondence using natural fibers, because the cotton's going to add strength, you know, or the hemp is going to add versatility. So you have those correspondences as well. And you also have the ability to then burn or bury, or, you know, without harming. You have to think about the chemicals that you would be putting into the earth if you use synthetic for magical purposes. Now, the things that I make to sell when I'm vending, the majority of those are acrylic, because it's cost effective. People like to throw things in the washing machine, and it's not going to be burned or, you know, buried or anything like that. It's going to be more useful. But you can, and I do, imbue synthetic fibers with magical intention, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for purely spell work, yeah, go with the natural fibers for a lot of different reasons.
So Celine and I made poppets. Well, we've actually done that several times, but one year
Sure.
we decided to burn them after they had served their purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't really burn. They melted and made a lot of black smoke. So what is not safe to burn or put back into the earth or bury once we're done with spell work?
Do not use any acrylic yarn. You read the ingredients, rayon or nylon, or that smoke is toxic. Do not breathe that smoke, and do not bury those remnants, because that is very harmful to Mother Nature. And I'm thinking she's not going to really answer your your prayers there. If you, it's a slap in the face. Go for cotton or wool or linen or bamboo. I mean, they make yarns and fabrics out of so many different things now, you know. And hemp, hemp will save the world. You can eat it, smoke it, wear it, put it in your gas tank. I would like to see hemp take over cotton in perfect world.
So if somebody wants to get started with Fiber Magic, what do they do?
Well, I have a Fiber Magic Academy on my website, fibermagick.com, which teaches basic crochet as as you learn how to use each stitch and each technique magical. So it's like a lesson of magical crochet. I have a YouTube channel where you can find it, tutorials, and I have a Patreon, and that it costs $5 a month, but I share all my upcoming stuff there with, because I asked that if you join my Patreon, you should want to try these new patterns that I'm coming up with, and as a thank you, I will send an autographed copy of the new book when it comes out.
Lovely. Okay. We were talking about magical tools earlier, and you also showed us some very cool magical, physical, tangible objects that could be made. What other things in terms of magical tools can you make through Fiber Magick?
Definitely spell pouches and spell bags. You can create, you can make your own, like wands and things of a spiritual nature like that. Let me think. Oh, you can make your spirit animal. This is Doris. She came along because she wanted to show that she's made of pentagons, hexagons, septagons, and octagons put together. And she's a spider. She's my spirit animal. So there's poppets, of course, many different poppets. And I have a workshop where we talk about precise poppets, where you could crochet a brain or a heart and do spells that really focus. For I'm going to do the workshop, the brain poppet, at Mystic South next week. I'm going to have everyone crochet the brain. We will dress it with lavender oil and soda light bead, and just make it for a calm brain, for a peace of mind, and you can make it for any kind of a purpose like that. And you can do the same with the heart. If someone has a broken heart, I have a workshop where we create the heart, and then we use gold thread and make the crack in it, like that Japanese pottery where they fill the cracks with gold, and it the scar of what you've gone through is actually honored. So there's you're only limited by your imagination. And another thing you can do with Fiber Magick is activism. You can do spells at knotwork, make witches' ladders for clean water, for clean air, for anything that you're worried about, hurricane protection, what have you. And as part of my duties in the Grove, I'm the curator of the Green Man Alliance, and we collect metal. That's how we pay for our Sabbats. We hold 8 Sabbats a year, 2 of them super duper public, Beltane and Pagan Pride at Maybon we have at the park. But we do all 8 of them, and we recycle metal to pay for those. And we also recycle plastic garbage bags and make plarn with them. So we have a group that will show you how to make plastic yarn out of your grocery bags. And then we use these to crochet. And I got all sorts of props here. Sleeping mats for people experiencing houselessness. The Broward Outreach Center takes those, as many as we can make, and gives them out in the parks. And what we can imbue in these is hope that you find a dry place to sleep tonight, that your blanket doesn't get wet and full of bacteria, and I mean, there's all sorts of really good things, good works that you can do using Fiber Magick.
Well, that is way beyond what I would have ever imagined. There's so many things that you can do. I mean, and you already list so many things in your book, but it just seems like it's unlimited. Yeah.
It is.
It's really interesting, I have to say, on a personal note, that you brought out a spider, because I think ever since Turning the Tide, I think I have just been noticing spiders a lot more. I feel like there's some like spider goddess out there trying to be seen by me. But you have a bunch of deities listed in the beginning of the Fiber Magick book. Do you feel like there is, or maybe personally for you, your patron goddess for weaving or Fiber Magick?
For everything. Minerva. Minerva is, I consider myself a priestess of Minerva. And this is why I teach and I mentor, and why I find ways to of commerce, to then bankroll my teaching and my, she's the goddess of crafts and strategy. She's brilliant, and she comes from that region in Italy where my roots started. My father's mother was born in the area above Rome, in the Tuscany area where the Etruscans first settled, and Minerva was way back in the day and a moon goddess that has been with in the Roman pantheon up until this day. One of the members of the triad, the brains, got the brawn and the beauty, and Minerva's the brains. And Minerva Medica helped members of the Grove get the COVID vaccine when it was back when it was like you were waiting on the line at Publix, to get an appointment. We would pray to Minerva Medica, and we all got vaccinated. So, it was just okay. So this is not something that I just do on Friday nights when the Grove meets. This is my life. This is every day. It's in every aspect of everything that I do, from the time I get up, and then I lucid dream too. I've written whole rituals in my sleep, so it's 24/7. This is actually the hook that's used to make those mats. So this is quite a wand. If you ever need a sturdy wand. That's it. Oh goodness, it's never ending.
How would you explain the foundations of knotwork or knot magic to someone who has never done it before?
I would explain it as energy work. I would talk to them, and I do talk to them, about everything around us having a spirit or an energy, a vibration. And basically what you're doing is collecting that vibration and trapping it into the knot. It can be used as a vessel for that energy, or temporary or permanently. It could be used for banishing or for raising of energy. And it's that energy that moves and causes the magic. It moves you. That energy, that the magic doesn't happen till the action is taken. So the knot magic collects all that energy together in one place so that you can feel it and use it to take action. That's what knot magic means to me. You know, legend has it that witches tied the wind up in the knots and sold them to sailors who untied them when they needed some wind for their sails. Was that actual wind, or was that the vibration of knowing that something's going to happen, that we're going to take action and we're going to get through this? It's the law of attraction, really. So you're making a very conscious effort to create a focal point that will attract the energy that you desire. Something that you can hold in your hand, that you can carry in your pocket, that can give you courage on an airplane, or the words when you're doing a podcast like this one or whatever. It's something that you can really feel, and I don't know if that's the short answer or not, but that it's collecting and putting the vibration in one place so that it can be used. That's the important part. That's the magic. The magic is when you take the action.
So what are some ways that you incorporate this type of knotwork into maybe a standard Wiccan circle or ritual?
In a standard Wiccan circle or ritual, you can use knot magic to tie. Well, we do use knot magic to tie the cords on for ceremonies when someone goes to the next degree or something. There's usually a cord. There can be a cord that's tied, and that kind of cinches the idea that you've graduated into the next one. You can use a cord to cast a circle and have a ball of yarn and give the end to the next person, and they unravel the ball of yarn, and then at the end of the ceremony you can wind the yarn back up again and close the circle. At Tides, we used a cord in the ritual that connected the 5 elements: earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. And then we did the crosses, that we made a pentagram by crossing, connecting the elements across the fire pit. And after that was over, did you notice that everybody wanted a little piece of that cord? We were cutting it up and giving it out to everybody because they knew that was special, that was an important thing, that cord, and that had the essence of the ritual in it. And I still have the remainder of that cord, and I need to find something special to do with it because it's a very powerful cake of rope.
Yeah, I think I still have my little piece of the rope in my little charm bag or whatever you want to call it that we put our little tokens in at Tides. Yeah, that was a beautiful ritual that took place. I'm kind of wondering, I've been wondering the whole time we've been talking, actually, do you have a favorite creation?
Favorite creation? Well, really, it's just like having kids, and they are like my kids. I guess the ones I'm bragging about are just the most recent ones. Speaking of which, I got my 10th grandchild on the way.
Wow.
Any minute now, he's due.
Wow.
So that's pretty exciting. But yeah, I think that I like my poppets best. This guy came to visit. This is a pocket poppet. You can put a spell in his back pocket. But this kind of little thing is probably my favorite to make, because they're fun to make stitches all over. I don't know. I love Doris. There's a couple of things that I would never sell. Doris is one of them. Yeah, doesn't matter. I'll make you another. I'll make you a spider, but you can't have Doris.
Well, I know what you mean, that they kind of feel like your kids, because sometimes I feel that way about music and the songs that I write. It's just like you put so much energy and intention into them that it's almost like you're raising a little consciousness that that takes its own life and goes out on its own to do things and then exists separately from you, but you have to do all that magical work to get it out of your brain.
Exactly. Yeah. I usually like to put the face on right away so that I can, have a conversation with the little guy while I'm finishing making him. I do that with dragons. I start at the snoot so that, they can have a consciousness. And I'll name the first few, but then it gets crazy if I can't. I know that it's just like raising animals, that are going to be adopted out and to find their forever homes. You want that to happen, so you can't really get too close, get too attached, because then you end up keeping everything and there's no room for me on the couch.
Well, you name it. I think that's really interesting. So it's like as you're creating it, it has a name. It's almost like developing a little bit of a personality. Maybe it has a bit of a voice of its own. With so many creations like this around you, does it ever feel like the house gets a little crowded? And I don't mean like in terms of stuff, but like spirits or beings or voices in there from what you've been creating.
Yeah. Oh, so far everybody's getting along, so that's good. But yeah, it is about time for me to do another festival or craft show or something and let everybody find their own homes, because they don't get the attention that they need, that they deserve, when they're just one of 12 in a shopping bag.
Yeah.
No. They have to find their own shelf somewhere or bed.
Okay. Jumping topics a little bit. I would love to hear more about the Grove. Could you tell me a little bit more about what kind of other work you guys put on?
Sure. The Grove is a 501c3 pending. It takes a long time for that paperwork to be done. It's a couple of years we've been working on this, but eventually we will be a nonprofit pagan church. And we meet every Friday in each other's homes, but we're always on Zoom for those. Now, we got really Zoom savvy during COVID, and we picked up members in California and Texas and all over that that joined our school, and so we continue to Zoom. So, and that's a really good way to meet new people. You don't want to invite over to the house right away, So you come check us out on Zoom, see if you like it. We have a different presentation every week, put on by the members of the Grove. We have first, second, and third year students. So in your first year, you're expected to just show up, learn everything you can, get enough eclectic information to maybe choose a path for yourself or a deity for yourself. The Grove has an accredited minister, Oksana, who has a degree in theology. And she will be the one that writes the first year and second year initiation ceremonies. But the third year, you will be expected to write your own. So the first year is just learning everything that you can and choosing a tentative, if not definitive, deity, path, what have you. The second year, you start doing your research on that path and you share that with us in presentations that you give in the Grove, or anything that you want to research, really something you know or that you're learning, you can share with us in a presentation. Then in the third year, you will be expected to do a public Sabbath. Maybe not the two big ones yet, at the park, but at the house, you'll, do Litha or Lunasa or something like that, and write your own Sabbath ritual and your own ceremony for graduation. Now, we have two folks that are already in their fourth year. So we were just doing a little bit of revamping now and developing some more named jobs, tasks in the hierarchy of the Grove. So we have the leadership that you have to have for legal purposes. And then we have this Green Man Alliance that I'm the curator of. So the Green Man Alliance has a herald that's involved in making the public aware of what the Grove is doing, the scribe that keeps the attendance and all the spreadsheets on everyone's birthday and ceremonies coming up or whatever, So we're trying to include everybody. And then the minister is creating a Friends of Animals. She just developed a committee that will be doing more works for animal shelters and, signing petitions for the manatees or doing beach cleanups or whatever. Everything kind of overlaps because the Green Man is a little more ecological. We've done gleanings for food banks, and we help out in the community garden as we can. And then, of course, we recycle metal and plastic bags. So, and then donate them the sleeping mats to Broward Outreach. So there's a lot of good works in the Grove. It really is a hands-on thing. It's not just show up on Friday and, play a drum. Although we do that too because we have full moon drummings every full moon, Friday closest to the full moon. We have a full moon drummings. That's when we'll do our ceremonies and things and then just turn up the music and just drum and howl. We like to howl. There's a very Norse Grove-ness. We're eclectic, so we take the best of all the worlds. But there's no one tradition or anything taught at the Grove. It's just kind of like a lay-led church, right? Where the members decide what we're going to do. We have people that can introduce us to astral projection and the chakras and what have you. And then we have a certified vulva that does all our bloats on the full moons. So it really is. I'm proud. I'm very proud of Abelina's Grove. Abelina is a dragon. She's not here at my house today. She's at the minister's house. I crocheted her. If you go to abelina.org, you will see a picture of her. And that is an effigy of her, but she is an actual dragon that protects the Grove. Our minister is adept at dragon and wolf magic. So it's a pretty safe place to be.
Would you say that's kind of like your group egregore?
Yes, but an actual dragon. Yeah. Our minister will tell you, not an egregore, not a phantom. She is a dragon that is just represented by the crocheted dragon that I made.
Well, I love hearing about all of the good works that you guys are doing out there in the world, really making a difference, doing stuff for the betterment of people in need. I think that's a really lovely thing that more magical groups should get to work doing. And I believe you guys also, in the past, you have done Pagan Pride Day, and I think you're doing it again this year. Is that correct?
Yes. Saturday, September 21st at Markham Park, Pavilion 2. We will be hosting the official Pagan Pride for South Florida. And I know it's official because Manny said so. So the EMLC, which is our local council of the Covenant of the Goddess, has deemed us the Pagan Pride place to be. So, and this year we're going to have a sing-along. Oh, you might like that. And games, with the dice. We're going to do Martha Capo and I are developing a game with divination dice where you roll the dice and you're going to get numbers. Carl is going to make big wooden dice, like lawn dice, and we'll roll the dice and you'll get your numbers. We'll reduce down the numbers, and then she will do a reading for you from the tarot according to the numbers. So you got tarot, numerology, gambling. It's going to be wonderful. And then we'll have a wonderful workshop by one of our Grove members who is Jewish occultist, and he always has fascinating topics. He never tells us what the topic's going to be, but we don't really care. Last time he showed up with everything he wanted to know about Lilith, and I'm still afraid to ask. So it was very, very interesting, and it will always be. So he's going to do a workshop, and we're going to. And Debbie Fisher plays the ukulele and the handpan, the drum, and we're going to create a songbook of popular music and pagan music. Where he's singing "Big Yellow Taxi" and then "We All Come from the Goddess." Regular festival stuff. It'll be fun. And it's a potluck. The Grove is going to have barbecued pulled pork and barbecued jackfruit for our vegetarian folks. So, and then everybody else brings a cold covered dish, picnic style. And there's always so much food. And we'll probably break out into the broom dance at least once. And we're going to fly kites. There's going to be a lot of things going on.
It sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, it definitely sounds like a lot of fun.
A fun family day in the park. Yeah, bring the whole family because it's going to be family stuff. And our minister is writing the ritual.
So if someone is looking to find out more about this Pagan Pride Day or the Grove or you, I know you've mentioned a couple places earlier when we were talking, but where can people go to find out all this information?
You can find out everything you want to know about the Grove at abelinasgrove.org, and everything you want to know about me at fibermagick.com. At fibermagick.com, there'll be links to Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and TikTok, and I'm everywhere. In abelinasgrove.org, there will be links to Facebook and Instagram, and both places there's a sign up for the newsletter. So this way it'll come right to your email what's happening next Friday. So you want to see if you want to, tune into Zoom. Tomorrow is full moon drumming with a special full moon bloat, led by Birch the Tree.
Well, I will collect all of those links also, and I will post them in the video description below. Now, Opal, I see you at almost every festival I go to. So where will you be next in person?
Next in person will be Mystic South in Atlanta, Georgia. I will be vending and I will be doing a workshop on the precise poppets, the brain, and I will be signing books in the bookstore on Sunday. After that, I will be at Florida Pagan Gathering, Samhain, where will you guys be there for Samhain?
I don't know if we have decided that yet. I think we are leaning towards we want to go, but are we going for sure?
Well, if you do, we should team up and do a Platonic solids workshop. You could talk while Celine and I crochet.
Okay. I will run that by her. TBD for now.
To be announced, but I will definitely be there. And I also want to really go into the topic of this banishing with the frogging. Okay, when you rip it, when you rip out crochet, you probably know this. It's called frogging. That's the term that we use. So I think that is a very good magical practice. So I think I'm going to write a workshop on that. But what I do at Florida Pagan Gathering, I put up a 10 by 20 tent, and I have all my stuff for sale there. And I have this big round folding table in the middle and chairs, and that stays up the whole time. So I have a workshop every afternoon, but the crafting table is there for anyone who wants to come by and have a cup of tea and craft with me for a while. We can have a one-on-one lesson or just chat.
That's really cool. I think it's one of my favorite things is the frogging. Whenever Celine needs some help with that, I say, "Oh, okay, here I can help," and I just I grab it and pull it. Yeah.
Carl likes to untangle yarn too. I don't know. It's just he has a knack for it. But there, I tell you, I saw this meme, and I really want to do this in the workshop. You take a piece of candy, and you wrap the frogged. As you pull it out, you wrap it around the candy so that when you crochet it back to where you were, you get a reward.
Positive reinforcement. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because so many people, they're afraid of frogging, and they're like, they get so angry and they're like, no, we're going to get rid of what no longer serves us and we're going to get a reward for our efforts. So I think that's a beautiful, beautiful analogy. and if you're not into frogging, that's what appliques are for. Just put a flower over it.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing all of that. And again, all of those event links I will gather and post in the video description. We are almost at the end of our time. So that means it's time for the signature question. Are you ready for that? Oh, okay, no, don't be scared. It's a fun question. How do you use sound or music in your personal magical practice?
Well, I chant and sing while I'm doing this, of course. I sing, make up little songs to my poppets. Here, I show you. Ladies, spin your circle bright, weave your web of dark and light. Earth, air, fire, and water, bind us as one.
That was beautiful. Thank you. I think that was the first time we've actually had music in the Music, Myth, and Magic interviews. So that was perfect. I love it. And what a perfect way to close. So, Opal,
thank you so much.
Thank you for being on the show. I had so much fun hearing about all the Fiber Magick stuff, and I will post all those links to everything about you in the video description. Thanks again.
Thank you so much for having me. Stay crafty. Bye-bye.
What a great interview. Another big M3 thank you to Opal Luna for taking the time to be with me on the show today and for all the instruction and demonstration. And just look at how much I've been able to accomplish in just the short time it took to do that interview. The yarn even changed color and everything, so I knew it was done. I didn't make that. Celine made that. I can't crochet for shit. If you haven't already picked up a copy of Fiber Magick, do yourself a favor and order one today. That link, along with more places to follow Opal and find out about the Grove, will be in the video description below. Real quick, click that like and subscribe button, please. It helps tell YouTube's algorithms that my videos are worth watching. Plus, it makes me happy. You can also follow me on Facebook or Instagram at Eric Arcadian, or you can go read stuff I write on my website, ericarcadian.com. But if you'd like to help support me making more videos, you can check out my Patreon page, where you'll get exclusive content and early access, and you might even get a shout out here or something. Remember, there's always a way to make music. Until next time.
Crochet, crochet, crochet.